Hello, my name is Joep Piscaer. I'm an industry analyst here at TLA Tech, and I'm joined here today by Venkat and Rajiv. We're going to talk a little about the announcements they're making at KubeCon. So my first question obviously is going to be, what are you announcing?
Yeah. At KubeCon, we're making three major announcements. One is we're delivering our Portworx Enterprise, which is a flagship data management software, as a managed service on multiple clouds. We'll start with one of the major cloud providers and enable our customers to easily deploy and run this as a service with very little user intervention, self-managed, and more autonomous management. The second announcement we are making is our next generation stack for Portworx Enterprise, which we call as Portworx 3.0. It has many great features, a lot of great enhancements we have made over a period of time. A brand new data path architecture that delivers millions of IOPS across a cluster, and also we're announcing a capability called near-sync DR that delivers a RPO of few seconds across a large network, across like a WAN network. We're enabling our backup as a service. We're providing a free forever option so customers can log into our backup as a service and then attach their Kubernetes clusters and kind of back up to a limited set of apps and data forever, free forever, right? So they can kind of try out all of the good capabilities we have brought to our backup as a service product so far.
So it's interesting to dive into each of these, and we'll do that in this video, of course. But the most interesting part to me is to figure out, why are you announcing these specifically? So can you tell me a little bit about the roadmap itself and about the vision of Pure and Portworx to figure out the positioning?
At a very high level, we are partnering with our customers in their cloud native journey, right? And we started out with making it easy for them to run stateful apps on any infrastructure. Then, we announced Portworx Backup, which is our data protection product for protecting Kubernetes and app infrastructure. And we also announced recently our Portworx Data Services, which enables deploying data services at scale. But as we work with our customers more, we see that they wanted to cloudify their infrastructure. Now we have delivered them significant automation with Portworx and our offerings. But they all, there is more and more need for rapidly developing and deploying apps and consuming the software as a service and, deliver the cloud model of how customers consume services, plus be able to scale their services with less operational overhead, right? So in order to deliver that simplicity and accelerating their scale, we chose to offer our products also as a service. So that is the essential next step in our roadmap is to go deliver the products for the service-based economy, right? And why now, right? Is what we are seeing is these now Kubernetes has kind of become mainstream, right? Where people are building serious mission critical apps on Kubernetes, on clouds or on the data center. And as more of these apps come to the infrastructure, the scale at which these Kubernetes clusters are operating is kind of mind-boggling, right? And we're trying to simplify customers having to run hundreds, sometimes thousands of nodes in Kubernetes. And when we enable them to run this as a service and kind of simplify the management, they get more out of their infrastructure. They're able to do a lot more, right? The second thing is we see containers gaining a lot of density. Customers driving a lot of density. They want to lower the cost. They want to gain more out of their infrastructure. So enabling and replumbing the stack a little bit more to drive a lot more performance will help them onboard a lot more higher throughput, lower latency apps, plus also have a lot more apps in their infrastructure and get more out of their infrastructure, which is one of the key tenets of Pure itself, is we try to give customers more out of their infrastructure. A third thing is, we want to kind of give customers an ability to try and buy. So why we're offering a backup as a service, as a free forever option, is to give that ability to see the product in action and gain confidence that it meets their critical needs, and then kind of commit to making that larger purchase. We see that as an essential next step in how we deliver services to our customers.
I see companies lowering kind of the entry points into infrastructure. And so cloud obviously is a good example of that, right? Mm-hmm. Cloud makes it easier to get started with infrastructure, to provision it, to use it, to decommission it afterwards. But what I also see is kind of a new focus on a different audience, a different set of users, specifically developers. We know the developers within all enterprises are becoming first-class citizens. They're being serviced with new products, new ways of consuming infrastructure. It seems to me like Portworx Enterprise as a service specifically aims for that audience. Can you tell me how that works and how it helps developers be more productive?
Absolutely, Joep. I think you're spot on about the focus of developer productivity kind of becoming a key thing for organizations across the board, right? Every company, as Venkat said earlier, is a software company, right? Companies are also hiring DevOps teams that essentially focus on developer efficiency and bringing tools that makes app development faster and speed time to market for all of the new innovation, right? And we at Portworx take that very seriously, especially when it comes to helping these developers build a very secure, highly reliable, high-performance data layer for these apps to bring that customer experience to life. And so for us, bringing Portworx Enterprise as a service was not just a mission to SaaSify our products and portfolio. It was something that our customers said, we would be happy if, we would, not have to install these apps, right? The cloud gives you the easy button, but the things that we provided with Portworx Enterprise gave you more performance for your data, more cost savings for efficiently managing the data that containerized apps use. So we're freeing, platform teams from the need to install this service. They can just get started right away and within seconds have the ability to manage Kubernetes data at their fingertips, and also the ability to scale this within minutes.
It is a very logical next step to kind of remove the IT teams from the equation. Even though they do useful work, they are very specific about the tasks that they need to do, but they don't need to be in line for every request. And making storage self-service and making it available on demand, I think, makes a lot of sense. How can a developer specifically use this without the involvement of a platform or an IT team?
Absolutely. So we're in this, what does as a service economy really mean, right? It's the ability to bring products and services on demand to customers. So in many of the organizations that Venkat and I and our teams work with, these teams work together, right? And so if they prefer that their IT teams provide infrastructure to them, it needs to be available in a developer-ready manner. So what that means is if a developer wants access to production-ready container data, the platform teams can just get started with Portworx Enterprise and deliver it on any cloud of their choice. So we don't care if they start with Red Hat OpenShift or Amazon's EKS offering, but if they want to put those apps in production and scale them, then they use something like Portworx Enterprise and give that reliability and security and availability to the data layer that these apps consume. With Portworx Data Services, we're bringing that experience to modern databases like Kafka, Cassandra, Postgres, and the list goes on, right? We're not going to stop at the 6 services we support today. We're going to expand that to all of the data services out there, and including analytics workloads and AI/ML workloads in the future, so that database admins can expand their footprint and provide a ready platform and an API to all developers that just need that plug to plug in the right database and build that next modern app.
Cloud is of course very important to the industry right now, but it's not the only thing out there. On-prem is still very much in existence. Especially in larger companies, data centers I don't think they're ever going to go away. Mm-hmm. So does Portworx specifically focus on cloud? Does it specifically focus on on-prem? What's your vision on the mix between the two?
So the mix is pretty kind of like, almost I would say it's a 50-50 mix. And we see kind of the proportionate adoption is continuing to scale in both because, Portworx has customers that span almost all the major verticals. There are financial services customers who have a lot of these regulatory and compliance and security requirements. And there are like retail and manufacturing customers, and pharma companies and all want to kind of have this control of their software supply chain and scale it well, and kind of like meet their bursty demands and run on the cloud as well, right? So we kind of like see almost all these verticals are standardizing as Kubernetes as the infrastructure and application orchestrator, right? So we see kind of a good kind of healthy mix of adoption in both.
Yeah, and I think Kubernetes is kind of the underlay for all of that, right?
Yep.
regardless of where you run, whether it's on-prem, in the cloud, maybe even edge locations.
It's like essentially Kubernetes lets you not just orchestrate containers, it lets you orchestrate the infrastructure, right? It lets you orchestrate and provision like an application infrastructure at scale anywhere, as long as you can programmatically access and get deployed. Plus, it delivers a level of automation that you don't have to ship an SRE with every deployment, right? It automates many of the tasks and helps heal the application infrastructure a lot faster in case failures happen. And putting Portworx and Kubernetes combined, customers get like a 5 nines of availability, mission critical enterprise ready infrastructure anywhere they want. Yeah, including cloud, data center, and on the edge. So pretty interesting use cases all around.
Yeah. So Rajiv, second announcement is Portworx Enterprise version 3.0.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little about the specific new features in that release.
We're obviously very excited that analysts such as Gigom have rated us as the leader in Kubernetes data management, and Portworx Enterprise and its data management capabilities are the reason for that recognition. And we're not stopping there, right? With 3.0, we're actually taking the performance and reliability of the platform for mission critical Kubernetes apps to the next level. So we're getting support for technologies like NVMe, for apps like video on demand and VoIP that require petabytes of data ingestion. And so we're able to actually boost the performance of the platform 4x compared to the previous generation. And then with respect to reliability, as Venkat shared earlier, we're actually taking the disaster recovery capabilities to a massively new scale. We're going to deliver millisecond based RPO and RTO capabilities, and the latency of this will be also under a few minutes. And you could do these deployments for fault tolerance across multiple clouds and multiple data centers. So this is something that is pretty exciting. And again, one of our leading financial customers has pushed us in this direction, and we're pretty excited to bring that capability to other customers.
So you mentioned a couple of very interesting things in a single sentence, and I'd like you to dive in a little more, because you said multi-cloud across clouds with very low RPOs.
Absolutely. So these are requirements driven by our large financial customers, and specifically they want to make sure that there's fault tolerance across 2 data centers and adjoining states or nearby states, and they have to maintain a certain amount of RPO. What we're doing is, with async DR, we always had the ability to give the best in the industry, reliability to these customers and the best in class RPO. But with near sync DR in Portworx Enterprise 3.0, we're able to take that RPO down to 24 seconds. And so that is the level of tolerance we're able to provide for the data to these customers. We're not stopping there. The latency can be sub 100 milliseconds, which is extremely game changing when it comes to the mission critical performance and reliability that the modern apps require these days.
And this works across clouds.
Absolutely. Portworx has always been designed as a data platform that was multi-cloud ready, whether it's the infrastructure that's underneath, whether it's all of the Kubernetes clusters provided by all the major cloud providers, and then on top of that, all of the data services that are run. We're fairly agnostic when it comes to that.
That is, from a technical perspective, that is super interesting. My engineering heart beats a little faster for this. I used to work with Site Recovery Manager a lot. I am going to dive into this as soon as it comes out. But I do want to shift gears a little, go to the last piece of the announcements, and that is PX Backup. So tell me a little more, why free?
Yes. Well, free is good.
Free is always good.
We also want to kind of support the community a little bit more here, right? I mean, because if you take the containers use case and Kubernetes use case, there's a wide spectrum of users. There's people who kind of run on kind of open source, free forever products, and they have smaller projects. Then you have these individual app developers who try to get stuff going. There are educational institutions that get the free products going for their purposes. Then you have users kind of trying it at a smaller scale, adopting it and seeing how to build an app. And then you also kind of go into larger enterprises. Nobody wants to get into a procurement motion, to say, okay, how do I go build a quote and, or get an invoice and get this product to try it out or get a free trial. So all of that kind of is a sales-led, kind of an engagement, which it's a lot of friction for our users, right? So we want to get our products to more people and have them try it out and see the experience for themselves. and decide for themselves if this is the right product they want to put their investment for the long term, right? So that kind of made us kind of step back and think, it'll make sense to offer this is as a service. We've already eliminated a lot of friction in deploying and managing the product. We might as well just give them a taste of the product as well, right? We would like to engage the community more as to how we can serve them better. What are the different capabilities they want to see, right? So I'm pretty excited about the community aspect of it as well.
Yeah, and from my engineering background, I remember literally hating having to go through procurement just to try out something, and especially for PX backup. I mean, it's a good product. I think a lot of customers will be very happy to be able to try it out. So yeah, I think that's a good step forward.
Yep. Thank you.
Awesome. So to wrap up, where can people go to read up on these announcements once they go live?
All of the announcements would be available on portworx.com. Go ahead and look it up. Our links to try these free products would also be available on the website.
All right. And if you have any questions, hit us up on Twitter. Specifically, I can be found at Joep Piscaer on Twitter. And you can engage with us there to continue the conversation, ask questions, and to get down into the details of these announcements. For now, I want to thank you both for this interview, for being here, and we look forward to trying out these new announcements in the real world.
Thank you.
Thank you.